Did you know that there's this immense social lie that's been going around in our country, of course many other countries too, for years and years and years, and I've entitled it The Great American Social Lie. Do you know what it is? For many of you that have watched these videos, you know that a lot of times we tackle topics that are difficult, topics that will stretch us, topics that make us feel uncomfortable. And this, for many, may make people feel pretty uncomfortable. Hi, I'm David Essel. What is the Great American Social Lie? The Great American Social Lie has to do with a substance that's been around for a very, very long time that promises that the world will be better if this substance is a part of our lives. That it makes parties better, it makes sporting events better, it makes being on the beach better, it makes all of these things better because by themselves they're just not enough. By right now, you've probably guessed it. It has destroyed families. It has destroyed personal lives. It's been the creator and one of the base causes of many divorces in our country. It has thwarted the ambitions. It has increased procrastination. It has increased the decrease of motivation for personal goals. It's done so many horrendous things, and yet there aren't a lot of people that are willing to talk out about it. What am I talking about? What is the Great American Social Lie? It's the consumption of alcohol. That's what it is. You know, when I look at commercials on TV, some of the ones that I think are the funniest and the best, actually, when we look at like events like the Super Bowl and that, would have to be the ads, the television ads for alcohol, branding. They really are powerful and very, very creative. And at the same time, regardless if I like them or not, they're one of those things that continues to perpetuate a lie. And like I said before, if you look at a beautiful beach, the very next thing you see two people sitting on a beach, and what's next that pops up? The beach by itself isn't enough. The gorgeous water isn't enough. The sun isn't enough. Being with your lover isn't enough. There has to be alcohol involved. When we look at scenes, advertising and commercials that have to do with parties, you know, the being with best friends is never enough. You know, being with great music, having great music is not enough. That if there isn't alcohol involved, that you're just not having the best party. Isn't that amazing? If we look at sporting events and parties, if we look at the beach, if we look at vacations, you know, oftentimes we see individuals that are, you know, having drinks, toasting, right? Oh my gosh, what's it like being on vacation without alcohol? It is the great American lie. And it's perpetuated by our willingness to go ahead and believe it. For the longest period of time, I remember believing that because of my success in life, because of my financial success and all that, that I was entitled to being a part of that great American lie. And I can sit here today, and as a person in recovery who is an addiction recovery coach helping other people to recover, I can tell you that so many people that come in this office that want to get help with their finances or their relationship, their physical health, their major struggle is alcohol. And when I say major struggle, they're not drunks. They have not yet received a DWI. They've gone through a couple divorces. They don't have great relationship with kids. This is both men and women. And all of a sudden we look at the basis of it all, and there's an underlying theme. And that underlying theme is they've bought into the great American social lie. That it's acceptable, it's expected at dinner time, out with friends, that going to a restaurant, business meetings, that there has to be an alcohol component. When I was in my recovery treatment center, I remember them telling us that, you know, about 10% of the U.S. population struggles with alcohol, and I've found since then that that's a great lie. There's a huge percentage of Americans that struggle with alcohol. When I go to sporting events and I'll be around with people that are drinking, and I have nothing against drinking, quite frankly, even though it might sound surprising for you to hear that right now. I really don't. For someone to go out and have a glass of wine is great, but, you know, sitting next to someone who has two 24 or 36-ounce beers, that's a lot of alcohol, in their hand, and that's just to get through the first quarter before they go off. And there's a lot of people that follow that process. If we look at tailgate parties, I was at a concert not too long ago where the individuals in front of me, who I know that are all respectable people, really, really wonderful people, that they were getting up through some of the most amazing music. They were getting up and leaving to come back with trays of alcohol. And I look at it and I just say, you know, this is amazing. Not too long ago, I was invited to a sporting event to sit in the luxury boxes. And one of the things, and there was an attorney and a doctor and other friends that were going, and one of the things that when they called me and they left me this message, they said, hey, listen, not only are we going to be taking this, I think it's a Hummer limousine, it can fit like 30 people up, so no one has to worry about driving. You know, this was like made as a, but we're going to this great, huge athletic event, and no one's going to have to worry about driving home. And while we're in the luxury box, of course, all the alcohol is free, provided by this distribution company, this alcohol distribution company, you know. And I listened to the message and the thrill in these people's voices, you know, and I opted not to go to hear the next day that so many of the individuals missed their afternoon appointments and missed their kids' things because of alcohol. And it was the bonding, you know, the male bonding. Yeah, we're going to get together and be men. I hope that through this video we can break this great American social lie, and that maybe you'll have the strength to look in your own life and see how it interferes with your relationships with your children, your communication, your patience. See how it interferes with your motivation or lack of. How procrastination can become a part of your beingness. How wanting to fit in with the crowd, the peer pressure that comes from, you know, not drinking when you're out with friends is immense. And the last thing I'll mention is, this is probably when it gets really crazy, is there's a commercial out for a tequila brand, and you know, I just shake my head when I watch it. And one of the things that they're touting, they're not touting that it's a great alcohol brand. What they're touting is that you don't need a shot glass, you don't need a glass at all. As a matter of fact, the top of the bottle becomes your glass. And I thought, that's getting a little sick, isn't it? Where that we can get excited about the fact that I don't even have to have a glass. I don't have to have anything. I mean, with the bottle, I just turn it over, it fills its own shot, I take it off and I drink it down. You know, it just, that's where we've come to. That's where we've come to. But we can break the great American social lie. You can be someone in your family or with your friends or with your business that decides to do it differently. Can you have one drink and not anymore? If so, awesome, rock on, have your one drink. But more and more people I'm seeing today, because of the stresses of the world, they can't just have one. And they can't go to events and have nothing. There's got to be alcohol. It is the great American social lie. It's time that we exposed it for what it is and brought us together as a nation and as a family and as a unit and as friends and said enough. Hey, my buddy Eminem came out the other day saying he's back in recovery. I think it's time for all of us to go that same route. If I can help you at all as an addiction recovery coach, talkdavid.com is the website. Join us here at YouTube, because we do have information. Every time a brand new one comes out, it'll be sent right to your box, okay? Let's rock and roll and make changes. Again, talkdavid.com. I'm David Essel.